it's not even something complicated, because I think it's so straightforward. We are looking at building habits or constructing habits. And the construction of habits can take either the negative or the positive direction. And we'll be looking just a little bit on either of the sides. So the metaphor that we are using here is like the metaphor of a gym. And what you realize is that when you go to a gym, whatever a gym does to you is not external, is actually internal. For example, imagine a young gentleman with no muscles, and he goes to the gym one day, no change, 1 week, no change, 3 weeks, nothing, 1 month, well, maybe something very little, and that little will be emotionally attached, not really physically visible. And finally, after 3 months, there are results. And what happens actually is that you can see the development of muscles on the upper arm and maybe on the chest. But then it's not an addition externally. It's not something that has come from the external. It's not from outside. It's what is inside, what was always there that has been built. What was always there is what has been activated. And so when we are looking at habits, we are not looking at some things we acquire. We are looking at constructions that happen in our minds and in our, of course, now the general life, because it comes all the way to the character and action. But it was already existing. That is why I started by saying, when we are looking at building habits, we are looking at rhythms, and a rhythm is something which is always there. It is always there, but it is always at a neutral pose. It takes a posture which is very neutral. So it depends on what direction you take that rhythm, and rhythms, which are the foundation of habit, are always there. And so the direction you take it is just like the way you can choose. I'm not going to the gym. I can't handle that. It's tedious. It takes time, and I can't. So your body muscles deteriorate. You have them, even if people cannot see them, even if you cannot be able to work hard, you cannot carry heavy luggage. You already have what it takes to build the muscle. It's always there. It's in a neutral posture. But once you go to the gym and develop it, it becomes a muscle that is able to handle a resistance, a muscle that is able to do a lot of work that otherwise you wouldn't have done. So that is what we are looking at. So we are not looking at acquiring something from outside, because this is always a misconception. We are looking at something we develop on day-to-day basis, if we have actually the right posture. So our objective is, it's important for you now as a person, because you're here, because this is very practical. You need to name your hypnotic rhythm, your particular rhythm. That is the automatic habit that is currently running your life. That automatic habit, because you'll be able to discover it. And then we'll be looking at the difference between motivation and discipline, because we are in a generation or in a time in life where many people actually depend on motivations, and motivation doesn't last long. Discipline does. We'll be also looking at why we need to look at rhythm against intensity. And at the end of the day, at least walk out with one concrete, just one trackable habit, just one. It's enough, because when it comes to constructing habits, we want to begin where we are. Just where we are is good space. Where we are is good space. And so we want to look at one of the fundamental areas we need to look at. Okay, we'll look at one of the fundamental areas we need, not my word, need to look at, and that is locking your focus. Lock, like LOCK. How do you lock in your focus? And once you lock your focus, how do you move with intention? How do you lock your focus? And how do you move with intention? Because I think this is very, very, very important. When I talk about a hypnotic rhythm, we are looking at that automatic pattern, very automatic pattern that your life runs on without you actually being so conscious of it. And some of the things that automatically you follow every day without having much, consciousness of choosing. You just find yourself in it. It is that automatic pattern. And this revolves around habits, reactions, routines. Like when you wake up in the morning, there's always the first thing you'll do automatically. And these things have become so repeated. So they now happen almost on, autopilot. It's like you've been hypnotized. We use this word when we are looking at things like witchcraft and these things. We say, oh, so and so has been hypnotized, he behaves funny. But actually, when our habits and our routines enter autopilot, we are actually in that state of being hypnotized. We are already hypnotized. And so we want to look at it from a positive side today, because it being hypnotized is basically following a pattern so consistently and without you even being conscious that you're following that, because it's so it's like the way you wake up in the morning and you go to the sink to brush your teeth. Like there's no reminder, there's no one telling you to do this. You just find yourself to the brush paste, but because it's already a side of a rhythm, a direction of a rhythm that your mind has taken. So we are not just now talking about the gym, because we use the gym as a metaphor, and everyone has that hypnotic rhythm, that pattern. We are already running quietly that way. There's something in the background that runs our lives, and some are good ones, and because they work for us, and some are not really very good, so they are not really very good. And unfortunately, as I said, these rhythms work unnoticed. So when it's a bad one, it becomes dangerous because it happens unnoticed. Like the habits of, you find people, like when we go to church, you find yourself, you're saying, hi, 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 hi. You're not even conscious. You don't even know these people. You're just saying, hi, 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 because it's a habit. But you're not conscious. You did not prepare. Today, I'll get into this place. Then I'll say hi. Then I'll go and say, how are you? And it is on autopilot. It is running on its own. It's on that autopilot. And so there are other habits, like, for example, when your instincts tell you to put phone away when, like, you're talking to an adult or to someone who you respect, it is automatic that when they appear, you put your phone away and you have a discussion. And once they are gone, you take. Not that someone told you to do that, but you're running on that pattern. But then it can also go to the bad side. It can work against you without you noticing it. For example, when you reach for the phone, the moment you wake up, there are people who are still yawning, their eyes are still closed, and the hand is reaching out to where the phone is. That is a pattern. It's on that rhythm. And you wake up without you even being conscious. Your hand is already out of the bed. It's somewhere, under the pillow or under the bed, wherever you put the phone. I mean, like your hand already knows, it has eyes, it sees where your phone is. When your eyes are still closed, it reaches up for that phone. It is following, your hand is following an autopilot program. Now, there are other cases where automatically you procrastinate. See, the moment a task feels hard, without even thinking twice about it, you just discover you have postponed that, you have procrastinated, and then there can also be a bad habit in the area where anytime you find like you're not talking to anyone, the room is silent, you are bored, kind of bored. The next thing you want to do is to scroll your phone, even when you had no intention. You don't even know whether you're going to the TikTok or Facebook. So that is a pattern that is going towards a negative direction. Okay, so the key the key point in all this teaching is that rhythms are neutral. They're all neutral. They are basically just patterns. The power in the rhythm is actually in noticing which ones are running you and deliberately building new ones on purpose. That is very, very important. And that's the whole point. So, and how do you start a good pattern towards what you want to be, or the person that you're actually intending to be? The person who goes to the gym, they have a goal. They want to build the muscles, or they want to have more energetic bodies. They have a reason why they went to the gym. They did not just go because everybody was going. They went there because they want, at the end of it, after 4, 5, 6 months, they want to be at this point in terms of energy levels. So at the end of the goal, what is it that you're looking for? What person do you want to see at the end of the journey? And that is in you. Which personality do you want to see built? What character do you want to see? What success, what level of production do you want to see? Because the key in creating the right pattern and, of course, rhythms is beginning right now. It is in now. What is the now thing that I must do so that I reach into a certain point? And that will, of course, now begin a journey of repeating certain behaviors every day. What you say, now I want to begin. And this is the person I see or I want at the end of the journey. And the journey is intentional. It has a beginning, it has a measuring point. This is the person I want to see. But then that person is only achievable if there is a now activity. There is a now activity. And so when we are looking at locking your focus, maybe I need to ask you this one question. What is that one thing you keep on saying, I'll start next week on Monday? The next week comes, oh, things came up and, oh, I'll do it. I'll start next week on Monday. And that next week, Monday never actually comes, I don't want to say that I have personally been perfect in this, but I became perfected in so many things after I realized that what I want to achieve and the person I want to be, only I can make that happen. Not my tutors, not my mentors, not my leaders, not the people below me or above me. It's me. What that person becomes is fully dependent on me. The achievements, the productivity I want to see in life. But then it's not on the willpower, apparently, because my will can we have people who say, I will do it. I must do it. I must go there. I must get there. That is willpower. And willpower really doesn't go very far. Willpower can be sometimes be controlled by heavy emotions, and I never get there. What actually gets you there is what we are looking at. Number one is locking in your focus. Lock it. Because focus is not a feeling. Because something has been said and initiated and you felt good about it, then you think you can have it, you can achieve it. Focus is not a feeling. It's a decision you protect. Okay, it's a decision that you really, really protect. And I want to talk about three things. I'm not saying that they're limited to the three, but I want to talk about three things that can actually kill focus. And one of them is actually comparison. Comparison. Comparison is one of the things that will kill your focus. How does it kill your focus? How does comparison kill your focus? For example, someone may let's go back to the gym, and someone has been posting their reels, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok. They have been posting their reels on how transformation has happened to them. And like they are posting something which is on their 100 or 200. They have been there for 200 days. They have been there for half a year. And you look at them, and this is exactly what you have been wanting to achieve, what they already have, and you feel kind of very much left behind. And you're like, oh God, even if I started this week, I don't think I can make it. No, my friend, my colleague, my partner is already so far. I can't even try. See, that comparison is a killer of focus. You cannot go your journey. You have your journey. Establish your journey, not based on other people's journey. And that's why I said, what track, what achievement do you want to have? Okay, if you're a student, I want to have second upper or honors. Why not? That's what I plan, that I'm graduating this year, and I want to have second upper at the lowest or the highest, the honors. Now, if that is what you want, that is not necessarily what I want. So I am establishing my track. What do I want at the end of the journey? Okay, there are people who are already gone ahead. There are people who have been there. Not that they were perfect at the beginning, but they became perfected along the journey. So comparing your day 1 or your day 5 with your day 90, it takes your focus from what you want to achieve. So avoid comparing yourself, because someone will always be better than you. And apparently, there will always be someone who is worse than you. The one who is worse than you will make you slow down, will make you think you are already better, you are good, so you don't have to be consistent. So avoid comparisons at every level. What you want to achieve at the end, your object is your object, and that is what you focus on. You don't focus on what others have achieved. You don't focus on what others have not achieved. And again, I want to talk about the second killer is distraction loops. And this one, I know all of you, because you're all in that Gen Z stage. This one is something you can actually very easily identify. Yes, this one you quickly identify with, like opening the phone to set like a 5 minutes timer for workout. And when you just take the phone to put the timer, you will discover that 40 minutes later, you are still on TikTok. That one, you don't have to say yes or no. God bless you. I know that this is where most of the Gen Zs are. I didn't say 100% of you, but at least you know that. Others are like let me just check one notification on my YouTube, or on that group, college group, or club group and all that, and then you end up finding yourself replying every message, and before you know it, you have replied to 6 groups, and then in one of the groups, one of the team members noticed you're there, so started chatting you up, and that one, so we don't even want to go there. You want to study with YouTube, and a video keeps on opening another one, and before you realize there's a short movie which will only take 9 minutes, and you find yourself swallowed there. And so that is distraction loops. They come in form of interesting things that you think you can just do away with in 2 to 3 minutes, and then you go back to what took you there. And I tell you what, at one point I was like that, and I would completely forget why I had gone to YouTube. And that would be like an hour down the line until I had to learn how to discipline myself on that. So distraction loops, especially in the day where we are, they are major. And this is something that can completely kill your focus. And then, of course, we have vague goals, For example, I want to get fit. So okay, it's good to want to get fit. It's a good goal, but then it is vague when there is nothing being done towards it. I want to do better in school. What are you doing about getting better in school? You have no plan of studies. Okay, if you want that goal of becoming better at school to be actualized, then do a plan for how you study. And you don't just wake up and start looking for history, geography, maths, social ethics books. No, you come up with a plan of tomorrow I'll wake up on mathematics. And so what do? On the study table, you have all the mathematical instruments on the table, so that when you wake up and brush your teeth, you go straight to there is no distraction. The goal is very clear. It's very different from when you say, I want to wake up at 3 a.m. and study. And then you wake up and you get your history book, and then you go, you look at it and say, I'm bored. Then you go to the geography. It will be 8 a.m. and you'll have done nothing. That's a vague goal. So you have to really be specific. I want to be better in school. How do I do this? I want to improve in maths and English. So where do we start? Tomorrow between 7 a.m. to midday, I'll be dealing with the maths. So put everything else away. Put the maths book there. And everything, and every resource that is required in that case. So you don't just wake up to say, I want to be disciplined. I want to be more disciplined. Wanting is one thing, and being disciplined is a very different thing. You can have a resolution. On that 1st January, I know that's what we do. And we go write down so many things, that this is how I want to live this year. Very disciplined in the area of study, in the area of diet, in the area of attending church, in the area of all that. And we want God to do this, and we will do this. Yeah. And that resolution, for 99% of the people, it dies within the first 2 weeks. For most of us, it dies within the first 1 week. And for the survivors, within 2-3 weeks, 1 month, life becomes hard, and you forget you even had resolutions, because it was never broken into a daily action. Discipline is about daily actions. It's not about something that will happen like the Big Bang. So we shouldn't expect a big, that Big Bang thing. So how do you overcome that? A practical tool is the one thing filter. Okay, one thing filter. And one thing filter, ask yourself this very crucial question. Every task, every work you want to do, every task you wake up to do or to perform, ask yourself this one question: does this move me towards the person I am becoming? Does this move me? The moment, is my opening a TikTok, is it moving me towards the person I'm becoming? Is my scrolling through FB, is it moving me towards the person I'm becoming? Ask that. Is my study this morning, because I may be wanting to become better in digital marketing, but then I wake up to read a love novel. Is it, it's a study. Both of them are study. Digital marketing study is study. Reading love novels is study. But which one is moving you towards the person you are becoming? Remember, we are looking at forming habits. Okay. And so I believe once you ask yourself that question, you should be able to have an answer, a personal answer, because we do not have what we may think of as a group answer. We don't have a group answer because we don't want to become the same thing. Now, the other thing is that after you lock your focus, move with intention. Move with intention. Okay. Now, I want to contrast two motions here. A motion without intention and a movement with intention. A motion without intention. It's like, for example, because we are using the gym as our metaphor. A motion without intention is like, for example, you go to YouTube and you're scrolling through videos of working out and you're like, oh my goodness, this is good. This is good. It's not hard. I can do this. And you go to the second one. Wow, man, look at this girl. She's really, her body. Look, I want this. Then you go to the third one. Oh my goodness, this is, and you're even calling people, oh, Marion, come and see. Come, man, this is. So you end up going to 10 videos. And that's it. It can even be on another case, like the people who want to, you tell yourself, I want to read books. This whole month, I want to dedicate myself to reading 3 books because I know knowledge will build me to become the person I want. So you have books by John C. Maxwell, you have books by Miles Monroe, you have books by Obama, the Dream from My Father. You have Wangari Maathai's book Unbowed. You have books by, name them. You have great books by great philosophers, by great authors, and you have them there. And you're even telling people, oh my goodness, I love this book, Discovering Your Potential. I'm going to read it. And then I want to study this one on C. Maxwell on the. Why does it matter right now? Because I want movement from today. I want action from this moment. For example, you can say, I'm putting my phone away for this 1 hour because I have an exam on Friday. So the exam may not be today. It could be on Friday. But it is now, not on Friday. I'll not put the phone away on Friday. I'll put it away now. You need to answer that question. The third question you need to ask yourself on intention is, how will I know I did it well? And now this is where you need to define properly what is well done. Okay, what is well done isn't, well, we talked earlier that you're not comparing yourself with someone. You're not saying, I have done well when I get up to 100 times like Betty or up to 50 times like Alex. No, you will have to define your well done. Okay. Your well done can be, for example, I have promised myself that I'll go to the gym 3 times this week and 3 times next week. So I discovered that between these 2 weeks, I haven't gone the 6 times, but then I have done 5 times. So basically, I'm setting my own standards. I'm not comparing myself with someone. And so now that I've done 4 instead of 5, that one alone is an energizer, because I know now after that, I can go 3 times a week, and the other week I can make it 3. If I made it to 4 times out of the 5 times I had projected, then I can always do it. So your well done is actually you setting it, because you know exactly where you want to be. You have your target. So you you actually pursue your target. And once you realize, wow, I met my targets. I met my target. Last year, I put a target on myself that was very, very difficult. And it was funny. I love cakes. I do. I have a tooth for sweet things. And I put a target like this. I will not have any cakes, and I'll not have because you see, for you to love cakes, there is that aspect of wheat. So for you to really beat that whole idea of cakes, you have to deal with the wheat thing. And so I promise myself no bread, no chapati, no mandazi, no samosa, anything that comes with a label of wheat, me no. And that was one of the difficult things, because you see, at school where I am, we are served with samosas, sausages, and we are served with bread. And those cakes are really nice, especially when you have been teaching from 7 a.m. When they come at 11, that's exactly what you need. Sugar is calling. And so it was one of the most difficult things. But then I had to. And then I was going to be out of junk. So sausage out. So I'm left with what? I'm left with meat, boiled meat, because I was going to do away with the fat cooking oils. And I was left with very boring foods of beans and meat. And not just meat, but boiled meat, because I wanted to achieve a certain health status. And I remember in the house, I had a black forest, and I also had some nice sweet things, and I didn't know exactly what to do with them. But then I said, I already have these multivitamins, the natural ones I have in the house, and everything has got to start between now. It was Friday and Monday. So what did I do? I decided tomorrow I'm calling everybody around me. Come, let's eat. So we ate cakes. Oh my goodness, we ate those things like crazy. And we finished the cakes, and I literally switched off the fridge so that I don't even have anything in the fridge. And then the first day came, my friends. It was the toughest day, but I beat every odd. And on the fourth day, I said, oh my goodness, I've already made it 4 days. 4 days with black tea and without any starch, without any sugars. And by the time I was day 15, man, I could tell already I can go for 3 months. And believe you me, I went for 5 months. The limit, the health nutritionist had told me 4 to 5 months, but I went all the way to 5 months, like I went beyond the set standard. And I realized that anyone can actually come up with their own goals, and you can achieve it. You can actually achieve it. I realize that even people with health problems can beat their odds. I realize that we are actually, it's just habits, the construction of a habit. It took me, that tough 1 week. And I work with a very good friend. She's called Grace, and she was telling me, "Oh my goodness, I like your discipline. I like your discipline. I want to do this." And you know that what that means? It already means your standards can lead others. Now, this is where you do not have to have your standard set by others. You become the standard setter. You become the pace setter, and it's very easy. If you're a student, you can say to your friends, between this hour to this hour, I'm in my studies. No phone, no conversations. And you'll finally discover what they are coming to you. They join you in that. So that tells you are already a leader. You don't even have to say, I'm a leader. Others follow what you're doing. Now that tells you you're already a leader. And so when it comes to formation of habits, let's remember that one thing: consistency. Consistency is the mother of them. It beats intensity. Okay? Consistency beats intensity. What do I mean by this? Small, repeated many times, is better than big done occasionally. I would rather have, I'm one person who is not a gym person. I can tell you this, Destiny is my witness. I think she's here. I'm not these people who will say I'll go to the gym and do it 5 hours, but I tell you the truth before God. Every time I wake up, I walk in the house for 10 minutes, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm lifting my hands and shaking my neck around because I read that from the internet sometimes back. And I was, I learned that it helps the oxygen flow to the brain. It helps the oxygen to flow to the brain and makes the brain active. And because I wake up very early, that is one of the things I go twisting my neck and swinging my hands up and down. And I swing them until I'm so tired. And I'm not a gym person, but that is a habit I do every single day. And after doing that for like a month, I realized my mind is so powerful in the morning. I am an author. And I can tell you for sure, between Thika Road to Kitengela is when I write my books on the buses. Ideas come. My brain is so empowered at that hour. Before I go teaching, I've written a page or two of my book. And so I know little, small, repeated, they beat big than occasionally. Don't wait to do one big thing one time. Do small little things every single day. Even if let's imagine like what Alex mentioned at the beginning, you may not be a prayer warrior or those people who call themselves intercessor. I'm an intercessor. You don't have to be all that. Just give yourself a habit. Every morning when I woke up, when I'm coming, I'm yawning. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Lord. I worship you. Just do that 2 minutes. Do it tomorrow, 2 minutes. I tell you what, you are better than the intercessor who waits for a whole year to go to the mountain for 40 days. Your days are full of victory. Them is an occasion of victory. Small habits, repeated consistently, they beat that big one thing. Okay, there is what we call the compound habit principle. The compound habit principle is for example, it is do not wait to do one big thing. Just do that little thing that rewires your identity. Okay. For example, you enter a challenge like this one Alex has. You may not be an expert of anything, but say, I'll form this one little habit from today, and I'll repeat it tomorrow. I repeat it every day at 1 p.m. When it's lunchtime, I can walk around. I tell you something. When I was outside the country, I lived outside for a number of years. People would go for lunch between 12:30 to 1:30. And I remember I would get out of the gate and I would go around the compound like 5 times praying. And I realized within no time it had become a habit. And I would, I started, at that time, I started finding breakthroughs in praying in tongues. And I repeated that to the extent that anytime that time arrived, I would find myself wanting to just go out, even when I was not at the workplace, because it had become a pattern. My brain had already been rewired, and I had already found an identity in that. I became part of that environment. And so you need to ask yourself one question. Where in your life have you already proved you can be consistent without realizing it? For example, there are people who just wake up early. They don't even think about it. There are others who are never late for something like church. There are others who are always like there for friends. When a friend has something, they don't even for a call. They just find themselves at that friend's place. And so they realize that when it comes to a friend, they're always consistently helping them and being there for them. It can even be a sport. It can even be, anything. It can even be prayer life. You find that every time at 4 p.m., you just retreat and you have 5 minutes prayer. And what am I saying? I'm saying that when you go back to yourself, you will discover that you already have something that you're consistent about. Every one of us here, we already have something we are consistent about. So the problem is not consistency. The problem is now being able to redirect that skill of consistency, being able to redirect. And so what you say is, if I can manage to go to work every day at 7 a.m., then I think if it is possible for me to be consistent here, I can also be consistent in this area that I want to venture into. Because it's just about redirecting the skill. It's about just taking what you already have, like I said concerning the muscles and the gym, and putting it to where it fits, where it is productive. Because some of us have consistency in doing things for others, but we never do them for ourselves. You'll find some people, they are very good in helping others and doing things for others, and they are so consistent in that, but they have never been able to take that and appropriate them for themselves. And so in habit construction, you need to take that and bring it to your own life. It can be any area. I was so happy last time when I joined Alex, and he was giving an example about himself, and he said he has bought a Katululu. Katululu is not phone, I call it Mlikamuizi. Alex is good because he still wants to talk on phone, but he doesn't want to be distracted by the social media. For myself, I got to a point where I bought Katululu, but then after some time I said, by the way, I bought this phone and it is controlling me. I will answer when I want. I will answer whomsoever I want. It can call. I became so tough on it. So I threw away the Katululu. I got an expensive phone. And I tell you the truth, in the morning when I wake up, I put it in silence. Because the first person I want to talk to when I wake up is God, period. And that is my habit. When I wake up in the morning, it's hallelujah. When I'm stepping out of bed, and I go with it to the bathroom. And when I dress up, I'm still doing it. And when I finish dressing up, I sit and I pray. And that's when I remember, now I can talk to people. Because I realize I cannot buy a gadget and allow this gadget to control me. No way. No way. But, that is also another step of becoming stubborn. Before you get to that place like me, you can buy a Katululu. Before then, I used to go to the prayer center and I would leave my phone at home because I have no business with my phone when I'm talking to God for a whole week. I want to be there, me, God, friends, and other people. Thank you. President Ruto, you can call me when I am not talking to God, because some people behave like they are waiting for the call from Trump or from Ruto. That's why they cannot put their phone down. See, so as I said, you have to know what do you want to acquire? What is your end goal? Because that one will determine even how you treat your phone. And we said at the beginning, don't let a rhythm, a pattern control you. Control the pattern, because you have the power to do that. And I wish I could be able to talk more. And unfortunately, my time is up. And because it is up, I would want to just do a very, very, very quick recap. I would have loved to say so much, but my time is up. And of course, we are all going to work tomorrow. So I said the first thing, repetition in the same context. That is cue, routine, and reward. Okay, CUE. Cue leads to routine, routine leads to reward, what you want to achieve. So every habit follows a loop. Something triggers the cue. Okay, you do the action, which is the routine, and you get something out of the reward. Okay, repeating this loop wires this into your brain. And I'll say that again. Repetition in the same context. Cue leads to routine, routine leads to reward. And as I said, every habit follows a loop. That is, something triggers the cue, then you do the action, which is the routine, and you get something out of it. That is the reward. And that repeating is what wires your brain into a certain pattern. So it can be both bad or good, as we said. What I want to say is that repetition, that is whether it is repetition of good things or bad things, contributes so much to the formation of a habit. Another thing that contributes a lot to your formation of the habit is your surrounding, your environment. For example, let's look at what all of us can be tempted into: junk food, which is always visible on the counter. They always put it up there. And then they hide what is maybe nutritious or important. That environment of what is exposed to you is what actually you are quickly. It's what is easy to go for. What is exposed to you is what is easy for you to go for. I hope someone is understanding. What is so exposed, what is available in your environment is what you are most likely to go for. So something to watch. Is what is exposed to me good or bad? Because that one will determine what I choose. That means I can always make a decision, be intentional about coming out of a certain environment. Another constructor of our habit is social influence. Who is around you? Because habits are contagious. You unconsciously copy the people time with. That's why we have some of the old adage like show me your friends, I tell you who you are, birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, it's very true. Actually, even the old word from the good book is that good company, bad company destroys good morals. It is about social influence, and this can happen to any group of people, good friends or bad friends. Then there is something very important that constructs your habit: identity. What you believe about yourself. What do you believe about yourself? Do you always believe you are those people that always need someone to help them? Or you must have an intervener, you must have a mediator. Some of us have parents as mediators, others have pastors and men of God as mediators, others have just some funny people as our mediators. That is a problem of identity. What you believe about yourself is very, very important in the construction of habits. Okay. Ask yourself one question: what story am I telling myself about myself? What story do I tell myself about myself? Because you can tell people so many stories about others. But what is the one story you tell yourself about yourself? Another constructor of habit is emotional association. Emotional association. Because habits often form a way to manage feelings. There are people, when they are stressed, they will go for snacks, they will eat a lot, and they do funny things. Yeah. But there are people, when they are stressed, they can do a lot of writing. They write a lot. They channel their energy that way. So those are two people stressed, but the way they channel out is very different. Emotional association. And it will always be determined by who is teaching you, who you are listening to. If you're listening to the right people, you're reading from the right sources, you'll always have a very good way of coping with emotions. Because number one, you realize that hard times and tough times happen to everybody, but we don't have to die or escape life because bad things are happening. We can always respond positively by doing the right things. And then, of course, something else is that to construct good habits around is that small wins will always build something big. Small wins, it does. You don't have to start big. You don't have to have a big capital. You don't have to have a big education to make it in life. You start where you are. Small wins, they compound, they become big, and they end up bringing the results you one time desired. And so with that, I think because our time is really gone, I hope next time we can have much more time. But for now, Alex, I think every one of us needs to go to the next thing. Thank you very much. I thank you all for us being together. I hope we can have this another time. Of course, not this week. I'm really, really occupied at school this week. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Madam Betty, for sharing with us such a great insight that you have. And first of all, before umalizie, I want you to shout out your books, because I know you have written some good books about maybe the topics that we are talking about tonight and many more things. So kindly, if you can maybe type or shout out your books, I'll be very
Okay.
grateful.
Okay, thank you so much. I have many books. I think one of the biggest sellers is The Divine Mindset, seeing things from God's viewpoint, because that is how God wants you to see them. And then I've a book which is really based on Christian psychology. It's called Escaping Narcissistic Abuse. Some people have been so oppressed in some areas and they are still stuck there, in deception. That's a book to go for. It's called Escaping Narcissistic Abuse. And then I have other smaller books. I have Behold and Become. It's all about the mind. Behold and Become. Fused Life is another one, and then The Open Door, and I'm almost forgetting peace. How do you discover peace? Because peace is available. For those people who think they can't have peace, Kenya, there is no peace. There is so much peace. There is so much more than you need. And I have 8 already published, and the 9th one should be out in a month's time. So you're most welcome to grab one. There's one for young people. It's called Exile's Blueprint, and it's based on the character of Daniel. How can you remain a person with focus, productive in a space that is not very friendly? How can you be a Jew in Babylon, in a place of idols? Is it possible? How do you walk in that blueprint, in what you were meant to be, even in foreign spaces, in spaces, like all of you are young? How can you be working at Kenya breweries and you're still born again and you're not a drunkard? That's exactly what it means. The exile's blueprint. A person who finds themselves in a foreign space, but they're able to maintain their character. Thank you so much.